I've been looking for a house with no walls or no whispers, no hiding places, no secret sister. Been looking for a house that won't shelter a lie, no tear-stained past or reason to cry. I wanna live in a house of love.
This is Empowering Women Everywhere. I am your host, Nan Gill, and today our guest is Roz Thackurdeeen. She grew up in Queens, and she trained as a school counselor. She worked for New York City schools, and then she moved up to Orange County, New York.
Yeah.
And she has a story to tell about her son, Ravi, and what happened to him and how she's dealt with it. Can you tell us a little bit about your son?
Sure. So Ravi was 19. He graduated from Marlboro High School in Ulster County. He graduated as valedictorian and went on to become a Swarthmore college student. There he was studying pre-med and chemistry. And, you know, in his sophomore year, study abroad is heavily marketed on campus. He was told that, you know, this is a good program. It gives you a leg up or boost in getting into college, med school. He wanted to become a doctor. And so he did, in 2011, he did his research into the study abroad program that was being offered through Duke University and Organization for Tropical Studies, which is a nonprofit based in Duke University. And he looked at the program. Duke, of course, is a reputable university, and made some calls and contacted some prior students. And, you know, there was an incident with a prior student, so happened was a Swarthmore student who was on that program. By this time, she was at a Columbia Med School.
Okay.
And so he contacted her, and there was two things she voiced, and he felt comfortable after talking to her, and
Right.
the program after that took measures. And that problem was the two professors who were on the program, who would be on Ravi's program
Right.
much later, they were going into an indigenous region in Panama. And it had rained the whole night, and the river was swollen, and the rapids was really rough.
Right.
And they were going in a canoe, and the students are telling the professors, we shouldn't go.
Right,
The water is too dangerous. Yeah, we shouldn't go. And they were like, no, it's going to be fine. And they went back and forth, and then the students decided to get on the canoe. And as they got on the canoe and going across river,
Right.
the canoe was toppled.
Oh, no.
And then the students started to be pushed downstream,
Right.
and two indigenous men who were on the banks of the river saw the students and jumped in and were able to save them.
Oh, my.
After that, OTS and Duke University then instituted the students wearing life vests. They didn't have life vests.
Oh, my
then.
goodness.
And these now, much in 2012, were the same professors who was in charge of making the decision to surprise the students on a end of semester celebratory trip.
Now, before you go into that, what kind of work was he doing
So-
when he was in Costa Rica?
So he was studying global health and tropical medicine. He was working in the jungles, living in the biological stations with the professors and the instructors on the program.
Right.
They were transported to these sites because they're often remote, and they were owned by Organization for Tropical Studies, and a lot of times in the jungles or in the botanical
So
stations.
they were helping the local people?
Yeah. So they were educating the students on simple basic things as washing hands, trying to avoid mosquito bites, taking height and weight measures
Right.
for the indigenous population that live very remotely away from the population, the regular population in Costa Rica. They kind of live along the borders, along the rivers of Costa Rica, the borders Panama.
Right.
They still
And how
live-
many weeks was this program?
So this program was 16 weeks long,
Oh, my
4 months.
goodness.
He left in January 2012,
Right.
and it was a 6-day-a-week, 12 hours a day program.
He was working.
Yes, they were researching in the biological station, in the forest, amongst the indigenous people, and then late at night there were times for discussion with the professor, and then written reports that they had to do. So oftentimes at 3 o'clock in the morning, Costa Rica time, which was 5 o'clock my time,
Right.
I'm getting a text, "Love you, Mom," night.
Uh-huh.
Because he was just going to bed.
He was just going
I
to
was getting up to go to my job in Manhattan, to get dressed to go to my job in Manhattan. And 2 days prior to him coming home, the students were surprised with an end of semester celebratory trip to the beach.
Uh-huh.
They were not told where they were going. They were not told that the hotels were changed. It was a very stringent itinerary because of the type of work that they were doing.
Right.
They went off into, so that last weekend trip that was supposed to be at an Eco Lodge, and the program switched it to a different hotel. My daughter asked them, "Why did you switch it?" And they
Right.
says, "Well, where we were supposed to stay at La Cusinga Eco Lodge, there's trails that lead down to the beach, and they didn't want the students going off to the beach on their own. So where they changed the hotel to, which
Right.
was Villas Gaia, that it would be, there was no access to the beach. The only way for them to get to the beach is if we took them there, and that's what they wanted. They wanted a little bit of control, but we wanted to be able to take them there.
Exactly.
And so they did that, and they didn't tell us prior to anything that they were doing a beach trip. The itinerary simply stated that if your family came to visit you and it's not your break, you will not be able to see them.
Right.
That's how stringent the program was. We found out later that this was a trip they had done 3 years prior with different students
Uh-huh.
in the program, they took the students to the beach on April 28, 2012 to explore the beach. They had them cross the river. Then the next day they said they were taking them to the beach between 9 and 11 because that's low tide. We have to realize something. When you're in the southern part of Costa Rica,
Right.
where we have access to Wi-Fi and internet that you could check something on a bus. These in that part
You're
of
in
the
the
world,
wilderness.
right? You don't have that
You
access.
don't have any Wi-Fi.
And we had gone through the itinerary, both me and my son,
Right.
going through everything that they were doing, preparing for those things, and there was no beach trip, so that wasn't prepared for. And the next day, on the 29th, they took them to the beach. This is a beach that has no trees. It's 90-degree weather.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bay formed by, there's 2 mountains on either side of it. And the kids, they walked on the beach. My son kicked the ball. He loves soccer. He played soccer by himself and with some of the girls. And then he stepped in the water. And at about 11:15, they were not supposed to be on the beach. They were supposed to be there only 9 till 11.
Right.
But what happened is some of the girls had gotten burnt. There was no trees. There's sand. So now
Right.
they couldn't make one trip back. They had to make 2 trips because
Oh,
they only
no.
went in a small safari vehicle that fit 15 kids in the back of the vehicle
Right.
with the instructor. They were jammed up like sardines, except now with sand and sunburn, they couldn't do that. So they opted to take some of the kids back. One of the professors remained on the beach. She was suntanning up the beach
Right.
at about maybe 600 feet up the beach.
Uh-huh.
And my son and another student was standing in knee-deep water when he was pulled out. The program went with nothing, no safety devices,
Now, there was
phones.
no lifeguard on duty?
No, this is a little local spot that most locals know not to swim there
Because of the
because
current.
of the 6 rivers that empties into it. One of them is the largest in Costa Rica. Afterwards,
What was the name of the beach?
Playa Tortuga.
Uh-huh.
And it's in southern Costa Rica in the town of Ojochal. And there's a lot of little local spots, and when we went down, when we got that call and went down, the only way to get there was a 4x4 vehicle that
Right.
had to be maneuvered along a mountain. It's a little, not a road, it's really a track formed by the
And it's
locals.
not a
along it.
tourist location.
No, but it is encouraged by the local hotels. You drive across Costa Rica, you just stop off at any of these beaches. But here we had locals running the program in Costa Rica.
And they should have known.
They should have known because they researched along the Playa. The Tortuga River is where a lot of the indigenous people still believe that water is sacred. You know, they don't know that now the water is not. It's not like in the day when the water was clean. It's rivers that you have a lot of muck emptying into it.
Right.
And it's one of the largest rivers in Costa Rica. My son was pulled out and he screamed and bawled for his life for 40 minutes.
And there was no way to help him?
No, they watched because they went with no safety devices,
No boat, no lifeboat, no nothing?
It's a fishing boat and it took 45 minutes. It arrived at 12 o'clock, 5 minutes before my son went under the water. They went with no phones or anything else.
Now, when this happened, and you found out about it, I mean, that must have been devastating for you.
I didn't even know what to think. When we got that call, it was about 5 hours after the fact.
Right.
We got that call not saying my son was dead. We got that call saying my son was missing. We were not thinking beach trip because we were not told of a beach trip.
You didn't even know that there was a beach trip?
Right. We knew that he worked in the jungles and, you know, he could have gone off a wrong trail. My son had a lot of common sense. He was smart. He was level-headed. We knew that if he went off a trail, we were going to find him.
Plus, he was a strong boy.
Yeah, and we knew we were going to find him.
Yeah.
But they didn't tell us. They watched. Meanwhile, the other students who had seen what happened had already called their parents, crying and bawling that Ravi had died. We didn't know. Not until we got the morning of, we booked flights. We didn't know what to think. We said, no, we're going.
Yeah.
We're going to find my son. We're going to be there. There was no question about it.
A mother's worst nightmare.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And all this time, they didn't even tell you what had happened.
And we're asking and we're standing and we're seeing them conversing in Spanish and we're not getting answers. And then finally, the Coast Guard that they watched, it's through conversations with the students and with the tourist who was on that beach. I got more answers from the tourist who was on that beach. A couple who was walking on that beach who had seen my son the day before because they were walking. They saw my son playing soccer the day before, and my son said hello. He didn't know them. It was a Canadian couple from Alberta, Canada. And then there was a young man who risked his life from Massachusetts who had just gone down to teach English, and he went there to walk on the beach, and he saw all of this happening at the same time. And he went out he raced up and down looking for something to be able to save my son. So
it was totally negligence.
100% preventable and 100% negligent. Because if you would have told these students that it's not a beach for swimming, which
they would not have swum.
No, they would not even stepped in the water. And, you know, the locals know not to do that.
Right.
But the students didn't know that. And I found that out after because 3 weeks after the cremation and we came back to the United States, my middle son, Sean, who went to the same college, Swarthmore, as Ravi, his graduation was supposed to take place.
Yeah.
And so the college kept calling me and saying, is Sean coming to graduation? And Sean didn't want to go, but Ravi said, you know, he used to tell me, Mom, he worked for this, he should go.
Right.
And then at that point when I told Sean that, Sean said, okay, he'll go. And so we went 3 weeks after to graduation, and I sat with the President Chop of Swarthmore at the time, and she goes, I don't understand. It's the most dangerous beach in Costa Rica. How did they take them there? That's when I took to the internet. I came back because now certain things I heard, certain things I heard there was starting to come to. Yeah, it was starting to come together.
How many did you find?
So over time, and we keep building it. I have about 5,000 individual involving deaths and injuries, rapes, murders, mugging, killings.
Now, from what I understand, the colleges don't report this. You had to do this individual research because it was not reported by the colleges.
So the college will tell you that they collect the information, but it serves no purpose if you share it with no one.
Right.
If me as a parent ask a program what death and injuries they've had,
What is their safety record?
Right. They don't have to share that with you.
They don't have to.
And so they didn't share that with me. My girlfriend, who's on the website with me, Elizabeth Brenner, whose picture you have, my partner, she lost her son in India. When she asked, a friend of hers asked the program, how many have you had any incidents before? And they go, oh, just cuts and bones, broken bones maybe. We're expecting, my son's going in the jungle. You expect kind of bruises and scratch and cuts. You don't expect death. And so after her son died, a friend was working at the State Department and called her and said, Elizabeth, do you know your son was the program's 12th death? And that's through the State Department. The program told the person when he inquired, no, just broken bones. So they don't have to share that information. Yeah, school, colleges, and universities are a brand. This could hurt the brand. So like sexual assault, it's swept under the rug. And they will tell you, yeah, we collect the data, but are you using it to make program changes and curriculum changes?
Exactly.
Which is what we're about. So I started to search this data, I started to collect it, put it on a link, and then I started to reach out to people. I started to reach out to my assembly person, my representatives, saying, what laws are there that protects our children? We're paying American dollars, they're going to an American university. What protects our children abroad? Because now I'm learning it was preventable, it's negligible, and I have no answers as to how my son died.
Even for them to go without any kind of safety device to a beach with no lifeguard is negligent.
Yeah. And there are beaches with a lifeguard, but you may have to pay $6 per person. Not far up the road, there is a state park that has lifeguarded beach, but they would have had to pay maybe $5, $6 for each student.
And how much did you pay for him to go on that
$22,000.
$22,000. And they couldn't pay $6 for their protection.
No, because it's now you learn it's not about the life; it's about the dollars that they make.
So now you actually took books and printed out different students
because
that
I wanted
had been hurt.
Because I didn't want to walk into an assembly person office or a representative office saying I have 100 students, because that doesn't do the students justice.
No.
I wanted them to see a face.
See a picture.
Yes.
See a picture of who it was, how beautiful they are, and that they lost their life.
And what they were doing, because these were kids that wanted to make a difference in the world.
Right.
And they would have come back and contributed to society.
Right.
So I didn't want to say 100, because to me, the number was not driving home. Yeah.
Is
too many. Too many. And so I started to print out, put a bio together and print out and put a picture together.
Right.
And I'd walk into...
Like a memorial for each child that was lost.
And I'd walk into a congressman's office, or I walked into Gibson's office, Gibson was in Kingston at the time, Congressman Gibson. The first thing he did was pull the book, and then his eyes is bugging out, and he's going through the book.
Yeah, they could see right there.
They're seeing this, and I'm telling the story, but this is what's really telling the story.
Exactly. It doesn't matter what you say, it's what you see.
So I have about 6 of these binders now. Through the binders and through obituaries, I will research and then find where the families may live.
Right.
And I cold call. Sometimes if it's a common name, I've only gotten it wrong once, where I called a wrong home. But I've gotten families, and no matter how far back it goes, they too are still shocked to find out their child was not the only one. And that somebody else like them exists out there.
Now, from what I understand, you have 2 bills sponsored by Sean Patrick Maloney?
Yes. So we have Sean Patrick Maloney has been on our side for the last, since 2014 when he introduced the first bill, HR 3551. I had been to Washington, D.C. We were doing 13 meetings a day, and people a lot of times just looked at me like I had 2 heads. They had never heard about these incidences, and they didn't know about it, but were not willing to go the extra step. And I had been communicating with Sean's office, and I went in to visit him, and I got there kind of late, and I had been coming from the CDC, and he said, well, I have a meeting, but I'm going to write your bill. he said, I have kids, I'm going to write you a bill.
Anyone that has children.
Yeah. But, most of the
Now,
people
if
don't.
anyone here wants to help,
Yeah.
is there something that they can do? Write
Yes.
to congressman?
Yes,
or-
definitely. So if you go to our website, we'll upload the information there.
And what's the website?
protectstudentsabroad.org.
Okay.
So we'll upload the bill information, the links where they could click into the link. But they can go, if they know who their congressman is, they could go to their website and send an email message through that saying support HR 4410
Exactly.
and HR 4411. This year we had a second bill introduced in Congress where the Department of State gets the consular reports of death. Share that information with CDC where it can be studied, where it can be
Hold the
looked at
schools
for patterns.
accountable.
Yeah, and we believe, our goal is, we believe in global education. We believe like our sons believe. But it's only good if you come back alive. And we're saying we could do this better. We know with research, it was found that smoking was unhealthy for you. That seatbelt laws, even
Right.
though we kicked against that, we know that it prevents lives. And it was through
Prevents
following
death.
pattern, prevents death and save lives.
Yeah.
This too is the same thing.
Right.
We're not saying we're going to prevent every death, but we could certainly reduce the number of
Also,
deaths.
not only that, there's kidnappings.
Yes.
There's rapes.
And
There's
rapes is 5 times higher on study abroad than it is here on home campus. And oftentimes the students don't have the support that they need that is available here on campus. They won't have that.
they
in
won't
their
have that
foreign
when they're
country.
abroad.
Yes.
So that has to
Right.
be.
And then we also have a New York bill that Assemblyman Scottatos introduced the assembly version in May, this
Okay.
past May.
So
And
they
s-
can write to their assemblyman.
Yes. And then we have the bill, Senator Laval, the chairman of the Higher Education Committee,
Mm-hmm.
introduced the same exact assembly bill in the Senate in January.
Right.
And so we have some support on that. And so, yes, they can also write. And it doesn't have to be much. Yes, you'd be surprised how many people know of someone who had
Who had a
an
problem.
unfortunate experience on study abroad. It doesn't have to be death, but could have had a problem that you really never thought was a problem. But then when you hear me talking or you see these issues, then you realize, yeah, there was something.
Yes.
And so they can go.
And there
through
is
this.
something that can be done about it.
Yes, definitely there's something.
And if you had done the research and known that, it's possible you wouldn't have, your son would have decided he doesn't want to go.
Yeah, of course. The whole idea is that we now advocate and inform and want to empower students and parents to make that
To know
informed
the full,
educative decision.
full ramifications.
Yes,
And
yes.
to make sure that they choose a course that's safe.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
if you have the records as far as their track record, as far as deaths or any kind of possible problems,
Right.
if you have that record available to you, you
Mhm.
can make a educated decision as to which program you want your child to go
Right,
to.
and we should be the one that's making the decision with our children, not the program.
With full disclosure.
Right, with full
as to-
disclosure.
And by having full disclosure, they have to be concerned about their performance.
Right, exactly.
They can't hide their performance.
And all of that is not on full display right now. So we
this-
have leaders who've led programs that have lost students that continue to go take students on programs
That are not safe.
that are not safe. We know in elementary school and middle school, if there's a problem with a student and a teacher, or there's a complaint, it's investigated, the teacher's pulled out of the classroom.
Right, exactly.
And whatever the outcome is, something is done about it. That doesn't happen on the higher education level. So the professors who are on my son's program, go on to teach, go on to run the programs, and no
There's
questions
no
asked.
accountability.
No accountability.
No accountability.
No accountability.
So you said something before about a quote from Einstein, which directs you.
Yes. So Einstein has this quote that says, "If you have the privilege to know, you have a duty to tell." It has been my life story. I only later found the words that matched it perfectly, and knowing what I know now since the loss of my son, and knowing what I've learned,
All of the children that
deaths
have been lost.
Yeah, I have a duty to tell, and I have a duty to go out there and try to make a change.
And make a difference.
And make a change. You know, on the 21st of March, 22 years ago, there was a 1996 bus crash in India, and we found that through the internet. A 1996 bus crash in India that 7 was killed, 4 students,
Oh, my
and
Lord.
over 25 was injured. In 1998, there was St. Mary's College in Maryland did a trip to, I think it was Honduras. I have to double check that. And the bus was stopped, and 5 students was taken into a cane field, and they were raped. And then we had
Oh, my Lord.
2 girls brutally murdered in Costa Rica. In the year 2000, Congress, because of a newspaper article that the Detroit News ran, Congress and the Committee on Education had a hearing that asked on safety on study abroad. The parents of the 1996 students, the bus crash in India, was asking for the same safety measures we're asking for today. It's been 22 years, a lot more deaths and injuries,
Yes.
and nothing has been
Books
done.
of them.
Yeah, and nothing has been done. And
Yeah.
here we are today,
5,000.
asking for the same. So I know this, for me and for Elizabeth, who do this work, it's become our passion. Because what we've known,
Because you want to protect the other children as well.
yeah, we do this in
No
our,
mother should have to send her child away
I watched what might happen to my family.
and
If
not
you
have
would-
them come home.
Yeah, if you
Because
would
of
ask
some,
me.
you know, for some in unbelievable, stupid,
And we have no justice.
negligent.
And we have no justice
No.
because the state laws, the way the state laws are written, the colleges with the lobbying arm have state laws that are put in place. So even in gross
Right.
negligence, you have a waiver. It's pretty much airtight, and sometimes you won't even have your day in court.
And because of the waiver, although they're having something now with these, this might even help you. They're having something now with the Me Too movement,
Yeah.
with where they have signed non-disclosure agreements, and then they've been assaulted, and because they've signed a non-disclosure agreement, they can't, put a claim in for
Right,
that
right,
because
right.
of the non-disclosure.
Yeah.
But there's some case law now that's coming out that's saying you can't waive your rights.
Oh,
So
I'm gonna
that
have to
may
look
help
into that. I
on
have to look
this.
into that.
Yeah.
I have to look into that because I
Because
know.
it's changing. Like, it's
Well, great.
changing just now with the Me Too movement.
Okay, okay. So I'll look into
So,
that. Then.
yeah.
I'll
so,
definitely look into that. But here we are, 22 years later, asking for these measures. And I think if things
And
would
now-
have been done all along, maybe
Right.
we wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't be here. Now is the time to
Mhm.
handle this.
Yes.
So if you want to be involved with this and help and
Mhm.
get your congressman to work, get in touch with Roz.
Yes.
You could reach her on her website, which is,
ProtectStudentsAbroad.org,
right? Or
Yeah.
give her a call at.
917-658-8580.
She's there. And if your child is thinking about going abroad, give Roz a call.
Yeah.
Because she's done a lot of research on it and she knows a lot of the situations that maybe you don't want your child to get involved with.
Yes.
So it's been wonderful having you here.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me.
and thank you for
sharing
coming,
this
and
word.
thank you for all the good work that you've been doing.
Oh, thank you.
Because, it's when something like that happens to you, you can't stay quiet.
No.
And
They messed with the wrong mother.
they did.
They did. They did.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you.
Okay.
I've been